So today in this video, I think I would like to put my 2 cents in on a subject that I've seen quite a few people make videos about. I want to talk about how to be able to tell if an Aquarius actually likes you. I think I've narrowed it down to 2 different approaches that Aquarians normally take if they like you. And this is the funny thing about Aquarians, because like I've said before, it seems like no 2 Aquarians are alike, like at all. There's a little bitty handful of characteristics that Aquarians can tend to share in common, but outside of that little teeny handful, it doesn't seem like any 2 Aquarians are anything alike. But when it does come to this, I think I've narrowed it down to 2 approaches, and I'm going to see if I can hit this from both angles. One of the approaches that an Aquarius will take if they like you, obviously, is they want to be your friend. Okay? They want to be your friend. You may notice them starting up conversations with you more than anybody else around. Like, say, if it's a coworker, for example. Say it's a coworker, and they will go out of their way to form a tighter, closer friendship with you than anybody else. You'll see them coming over and talking to you more than they do anybody else. But they'll still kind of keep you at a bit of an arm's distance at the same time. They're very good at making it look like they just want to be your friend. But if you study and you're observant enough, you can see that you are forming a tighter connection with me than you are anyone else. But this particular approach can kind of tend to start building up tension after a while, because Aquarians can be a little bit weird sometimes, where they may consider that to be making a move. You know, where most people are like, okay, well, you're friends with me, but that's not really making a move. The other person may not go out of their way to take it a step further, you know? So, hey, we got this friendship, and then it just kind of stays at that. And then I've seen it happen a few times where a friendship is established, but the Aquarian is waiting for the other person to make a move and take it a step further. And tension is building, while the other person just thinks, oh, this is just my really, really super, super, super good friend. Tension is building because that Aquarius is waiting and waiting and waiting and becoming impatient. Aquarians are very patient, seemingly. I think that most Aquarians aren't as patient as they act. You know, like I said, they are very good at hiding their emotions. Not controlling their emotions, hiding their emotions. So they can come across, you know, cool as a glass of ice water, but deep inside, they're getting impatient, and they're waiting and waiting and waiting. All the while, this other person is just thinking, oh, this is just my friend, you know? Then the next thing you know, you see that person end up hooking up with somebody else. And then the Aquarius will like lose it, dude. Like, I've been waiting all this time, you know, like, why didn't you like take it a step further than that? You don't just become really good friends with the person and assume that they know that they can read your mind, you know? So that's one approach. One approach is and this is typically for the more extroverted Aquarians, you know? Some people like to say that Aquarians are social butterflies. Not always. I most certainly am not. Oh no. Confuses a lot of people sometimes when they meet me in real life, you know, because I talk for a living. But what's actually happening right now is I'm sitting in a room all by myself, talking to an iPhone 13. And like most people think that, you know, because I talk to a camera for a living, that I'm social when it comes to people. And I'm not. I never have been. You know, I'm one of those Aquarians who are I'm very introverted. I'm very withdrawn. I'm very quiet around people. And I'm not very social. Okay. So that approach that I was telling you about is typically with the Aquarians who do fit into the like social butterfly type of personality, you know. Now there's this other approach. There's this other approach that kind of seems like it's from the exact opposite end of the spectrum. And I know it's kind of weird. It's like, well, you know, are you going to narrow it down to one or not? Not necessarily, because when it comes to Aquarians, there are typically two extreme different versions of Aquarius, if you could fit them into any kind of box, which is incredibly difficult to do. But the second approach is they will go out of their way to ignore you and pretend that you're not even in their line of sight. You know, and I'll tell you, because I've done this before, and I'm going to tell you one of our secrets. For those of you Aquarians out there who have done this, or if you know an Aquarian who seems to have treated you this way, you know, like, why are you, like, what is the problem? Why are you just pretending that I don't exist? It's because they like you. It's because they like you. And you know what that stems from? They're mad at you. Because they feel like you're too good for them. That's why they do that. That's why they do that. And an Aquarian who is screwed up enough on the inside will sometimes even go out of their way to be mean to you. And like really make it a concerted effort to like belittle you and make you feel like you're this tall. I kind of touched on this on one of my Aquarius biggest secret videos, you know, about how, like, if an Aquarius is obsessing over you, they very well may make it a strong point to make you think that you mean absolutely nothing to them, you know? So that's probably the difference between the two different approaches, is that the first approach that I talked about is your average Aquarian who doesn't really have too many issues. I mean, we're all humans. We all have some level of issues. But the Aquarian who kind of has their head on straight and doesn't really have too many emotional problems, probably isn't suffering from any childhood traumas or anything like that, and has had a pretty decent life and is just a normal person, you know? And the second approach is the type of Aquarian who has had a very rough life, who has endured some childhood trauma and is very broken, very low self-confidence, no self-esteem. And it may even like cross a line into like self-hatred, you know, because like I said, I've been there. I very much have been there. I personally, though, honestly have taken both approaches. I know that with the first approach that I told you about, the reason why I took that approach was because I was confident that, you know, the person would like me or whatever, you know? And with the second approach, like pretending that you don't exist, and I mean like doing everything that I can to make you think you don't exist. It's because I felt like I wasn't good enough for the person and I was angry at them for it. You know, pretty twisted. I was a pretty broken person back in the day. And I'm not just speaking for me. I have, like, growing up, a lot of the Aquarians that I've known and been close to and been friends with and whatnot. You know, I've seen kind of a mixture of both of these things, you know? So anyway, I know at least one person needed to hear that. That is a couple of ways that you can tell if an Aquarius actually likes you. But either way, when it all comes down to it, I think it's going to be very difficult to tell either way. So if there's an aquarium that you are like into and you're really wanting to know whether or not it's going to go somewhere, it's probably going to sometimes have to be you that tries to take it a step further, you know? So anyway, I know at least one person got something out of that. Appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Y'all have a good day.